start strong, build emotional connection, and challenge their current state. Let me ask you a question. How many of you in this room have ever felt stuck? Like you were meant for more, but for some reason, you're spinning your wheels. Pause, raise voice slightly. Let me tell you something most people never hear in their lives. Well, you're not stuck because of your situation. You are stuck because of your mindset. The minute you shift your mindset, your life will follow. End of story. Think about this, your brain is the most powerful computer on earth. More advanced than any AI, more adaptable than any machine, capable of creating, solving, loving, building, dreaming. It's limitless. But here's the catch, just like a computer, it runs on an operating system. And that system, it's your mindset. Now imagine trying to run today's cutting-edge apps on a 1995 computer. You open the program and nothing. It crashes. Freezes, slows to a crawl. That's exactly what happens in our lives when we try to create success, love, fulfillment, or wealth using a mindset that hasn't been updated since our childhood, or worse, since a traumatic moment that convinced us we weren't good enough. Most people are living life using mental software written by fear, failure, and outdated stories. Stories like, I'm not smart enough. I always mess up. People like me don't win. I come from a broken family. I can't succeed. Do you hear the virus in those lines? That's corrupted code. And just like you wouldn't keep using a computer that's full of bugs, why would you keep running your life on limiting beliefs that were programmed into you by someone else? Let's take a real world example. Imagine two people applying for the same job. Both have similar qualifications, similar experience. But one of them walks in thinking, hope I don't mess this up. I'm not that good with interviews. There are probably people better than me. The other walks in thinking, I'm excited to show them who I am. I have value. I'm going to make an impact. Same opportunity, but completely different energy. And guess what? Energy doesn't lie. The second person will most likely get the job, not because they're better, but because their mindset allowed them to show up fully. That's how powerful your operating system is. It determines not just how you show up to the world, but what the world gives back to you. Now, here's the truth most people don't like to hear. Your mindset wasn't chosen by you. It was shaped by what you saw, what you heard, what you were told. When you were a kid, you might have heard someone say, you're not good at math, and that simple comment became your programming. Now, every time you see a numbers problem, your brain runs that old line of code and says, mission, you're bad at this. But guess what? Just like software can be updated, your mindset can be reprogrammed. Let me give you an example from daily life. Ever notice how people react to failure differently? One person fails and says, I knew it. I'm a loser. I shouldn't have tried. Another fails and says, okay, what can I learn? What can I change? The difference, same failure, different operating systems. The first person's mindset is set to fear, shame, and retreat. The second one's is set to growth, curiosity, and persistence. And that's what makes the second person unstoppable. Not luck, not talent, not genius, just mindset. Here's a personal story. A man I worked with once was a 40-year-old warehouse worker. He believed his life was done, no college degree, divorce stuck. He said to me, Tony, people like me don't change. I looked him dead in the eye and said, that's not you talking. That's your operating system. That's the version of you that was programmed to believe he can't, but you can and you will. We worked together. We rewired how he spoke to himself. Every morning he'd start by saying, I am capable, I am worthy, I am changing. Slowly that man started believing it. In a year he launched a side hustle. In 2 years, he was making more from his business than his job. He didn't change his environment. He changed his mindset and his environment caught up. You don't get what you want in life. You get what you believe you deserve, and beliefs are built from thoughts. So if you upgrade your thoughts, you change your beliefs, you change your expectations, you change your actions, and that chain reaction, it changes your life. Your mindset is not just how you think, it's how you breathe, how you walk, how you speak, how you love. It's how you respond to stress, how you deal with conflict, how you pursue your dreams. It's not just the steering wheel, it's the entire vehicle. But here's the best news. You're the programmer. You get to decide what system you run on. And the moment you make the decision to stop operating from fear, limitation, and the past, and start running on belief, possibility, and the present, you begin to upgrade your life from the inside out. Every day, ask yourself, what thoughts am I repeating? Are they moving me forward or keeping me stuck? Is this belief helping me or hurting me? If it's hurting you, delete, replace it, override it with something stronger. Start saying, I am empowering. Start saying, I am a learner. I am becoming. I am in control of my destiny. Change your operating system. Everything in your life will start to function at a new level. People will notice. Opportunities will appear. Confidence will grow. Not because the world changed, but because you changed the way you see the world. Change your mindset and you change your life. Let's get something straight right now. Just because you believe something your entire life doesn't make it true. A belief is not a fact. A belief is just a thought that you've repeated so many times, you've accepted it as your truth. And if that belief is limiting, fearful, or negative, you're not just thinking it, living and you're breathing it. You're breathing it. You're building your whole life around it without even realizing it. Think about that. Somewhere along the way, someone, maybe a parent, a teacher, a friend, or even your own voice told you something that hurt, something that felt small, something like, you're not smart enough, you're not attractive enough, you always mess things up. And that moment, especially if it came during a vulnerable time, embedded itself into your nervous system like a virus in your computer. And because your brain is constantly searching for meaning and identity, it grabbed onto that thought and said, let's remember this. Then it became a belief. Then it became your pattern. And now you're living your life trying to prove that belief, right? Even if it's destroying your confidence. Let me show you what I mean with a story. A young woman named Alicia grew up in a family where emotions weren't welcome. Every time she cried, she heard, stop being so sensitive. Every time she got excited, she was told, don't be dramatic. Over time, she learned one thing, my emotions are wrong. I can't trust myself. That became her belief. So in her adult life, anytime she had an emotional reaction, whether in a relationship or at work, she'd shut down, she'd doubt herself, she'd question her worth. But here's the thing, no one ever told her, Alicia, that belief is not a fact. That's not a universal truth. That's a moment you lived that you've mistaken for your identity. Once she realized that her life changed. Not overnight, but gradually she started to challenge the old stories. Every time that voice came up, you're being too much, she'd say, none I'm allowed to feel, I am not too much. And that's the power of challenging a belief. You see, beliefs are sneaky. They show up disguised as truth because they feel so familiar. What's familiar isn't always what's true. It's just what's repeated. And the worst part, we don't just believe them. We build entire lives around them. A man believes he's bad with money because he grew up poor, so he never tries to learn about wealth. A teenager believes she's unworthy of love because of a rejection in middle school, so she pushes people away before they get close. An entrepreneur believes he's not a real leader because he's introverted, so he hides behind the scenes while his dreams with her. Are you seeing the pattern? These aren't facts, they're just stories. And if you can write a story, you can rewrite it. Every single belief in your life needs to be held up to the light and interrogated with one simple question. Is this actually true? Not does it feel true? Not did someone once tell me this? But is this a fact? Because if it's not a fact, it's flexible. And if it's flexible, it's changeable. Let's do a little exercise right now. Think of a belief that's been holding you back. I'm not good at public speaking. Now, pause and ask yourself, is that true? Is that scientifically, universally, undeniably true? Or have you just had a few uncomfortable experiences and now you've turned that into a permanent identity? Chances are it's the second one. What would happen if you wrote that belief into something more useful? Something like, I'm getting better every time I speak. Or, I'm learning to love expressing myself. Imagine how your actions would change if that's what you believed instead. Let me give you a daily life example. Ever meet someone who constantly says, I'm not a morning person? That's not a fact, that's a belief. And because they believe it, they never try to wake up early with energy. They drag themselves out of bed, hit snooze 10 times, and reinforce the story every day. Now imagine that person decides to challenge the belief. They start saying, training myself to own my mornings. That small shift alone changes their behavior. They start preparing their clothes the night before. They go to bed earlier. They create a morning playlist that pumps them up. And within weeks, they're doing things at 7 a.m. they never thought possible. Not because they became someone new, but because they challenged a lie and replaced it with a better story. Your brain is listening to everything you say about yourself. Every time you say, I can't, it doesn't argue, it obeys. Every time you say, I'm terrible with people, your brain builds a wall of fear and reinforces it. When you say, I'm learning to connect, your brain gets to work helping you build bridges. Beliefs are powerful. They shape your choices. Your choices shape your actions. And your actions shape your destiny. But the beautiful thing is you are in control of the beliefs. You just have to wake up and stop treating them like unchangeable truths. Start talking back to your beliefs. Start challenging every assumption that doesn't serve your growth. Start asking better questions. Why am I like this? But what belief is creating this result, and how can I change it? Because when you challenge a belief, you create a new possibility. And that possibility is where transformation begins. So remember this, a belief is just a thought you've repeated. And the moment you choose a new thought, you begin a new life. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a day where everything just felt heavy? You woke up groggy, your energy was low, and before anything even happened, your mood was already in the gutter. Now let me ask you this. What did your body look like in that moment? Were you slouched over, shoulders down, breathing shallow, moving slowly? That's not a coincidence. That's not just fatigue. That is the language of your body reinforcing your emotional state. And here's the truth most people miss. Your emotions don't just come from your mind. They come from your movement. That's why this key point is so powerful. Emotion is created by motion. If you want to change the way you feel, you've got to change the way you move. Right now, not tomorrow after therapy, not after the coffee kicks in. Right now, a simple test. Stand up. Yes, really, stand up, shake your arms, or your shoulders back. Take a deep breath, deep into your belly. Smile, even if it feels forced. Now jump up and down 3 times and say out loud, let's go. Feels different already, doesn't it? That wasn't magic. That was your nervous system waking up and delivering a new chemical signal to your brain. Your physical state just hijacked your emotional state. And that right there is your power. See, people spend their lives waiting to feel motivated before they move, but that's backwards. That's like saying, I'll start working out once I feel strong. Or I'll start loving myself once I feel worthy. No, you move first. The feelings follow. Here's what science tells us your physiology, your posture, your breath, your facial expression, your gestures affect your biochemistry. Change your posture, change your hormones, change your breathing, change your stress level. It's all connected. Think about athletes before a big game. You don't see them sitting quietly in the corner, slouched over, thinking, I hope this goes okay. No, they're jumping. Chest up, shoulders back, fists clenched. They're telling their body, get ready. We're going to war. And that physical ritual shifts their mindset into focus, confidence, aggression, because emotion is created by motion. Now think about how this shows up in daily life. Ever notice how hard it is to stay sad when you're dancing? Try feeling depressed while going on a run. Try staying anxious after 50 jumping jacks. Try staying stuck mentally after going on a brisk walk in nature, breathing deeply, eyes up. Shoulders tall, you can't, because your body is sending a new message to your brain. We're not in that state anymore. A woman I once coached struggled with crippling self-doubt. Every morning she'd wake up, look in the mirror, and see failure. She'd sit on the edge of her bed, hunched over, breathing shallow, staring at her phone for 30 minutes before she moved. She thought she needed more motivation. What she actually needed was a state change, so we created a new ritual. Before she even looked at her phone, she would put on music, jump around, stretch big, shout her goals out loud, even if she didn't feel them yet. Within days, her mood started to shift. Within weeks, her decisions improved. Within months, she didn't even recognize the woman in the mirror. Why? Because she didn't wait for her emotions to change. She moved first. And movement rewired her reality. Here's something simple next time you're overwhelmed, stressed, or anxious, get up. Literally, change rooms, change your breath. Splash cold water on your face, shake your body out. Go outside, move with purpose, even if it's just for 90 seconds. This isn't about ignoring your emotions. It's about reminding your system that you are not trapped in them. Your body is the switchboard to your emotional world. You can light it up or shut it down. It's your choice. Let's talk about one of the biggest lies we've been sold. The idea that confidence comes from success. No, it doesn't. Confidence comes from movement, from action, from deciding to stand tall, speak boldly, and carry yourself with power before the results show up. You move like a winner before you win. You walk like you matter before the world notices. You train your body to lead your emotions, not the other way around. There's a reason why posture, breathwork, dance, running, martial arts, these all have emotional benefits. Because they activate your physiology, they speak to your nervous system in the language it understands motion. You can talk about your goals all day. You can journal about your dreams. Until you move like someone who's going to make them real, you're not fully alive, because emotion is in motion. And when you feel stuck, move. When you feel defeated, move. When you feel like giving up, move. Because in that moment, when your back is against the wall, when the weight is heavy, when your mind says, I can't, your movement is the one tool that can override the system. So make this a rule. Never let your mind settle in a state your body hasn't challenged. Dance, breathe, stretch, lift, walk, run, move like your life depends on it, because sometimes it does. Emotion is created by motion. So when you master your movement, you master your mood, and when you master your mood, you start shaping your life one powerful step at a time. Let's talk about something that nobody escapes in life. Pain, physical pain, emotional pain, heartbreak, failure, rejection, betrayal, loss. We've all been there in different ways, at different times, and yet if you look around, you'll notice something strange. Two people can go through the exact same kind of pain. and one of them comes out stronger, wiser, more powerful, while the other one stays stuck, bitter, angry, and afraid. Why is that? The answer is simple but life. Change in pain can be your prison, or it can be your passport. You get to choose. See, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. The event might not be your fault, but the meaning you attach to it, the way you respond to it, that's where your power lies, and that's the difference between people who rise and people who stay buried in their wounds. It's not the pain that defines you, it's what you decide to do with it. Let me tell you a story. There was a man I worked with who had lost everything in a divorce. Home, children, confidence, even his will to keep going. He sat across from me and said, "Tony, I feel like I'm dying inside." I looked him in the eyes and asked, "What if this pain isn't here to destroy you? What if it's here to wake you up?" He paused. No one had ever asked him that. And slowly, day by day, we turned that pain into fuel. He started showing up for himself again. Started going to the gym, started writing a book about fatherhood and loss. He took the worst season of his life and turned it into a message. Today, he runs a mentorship program for men rebuilding after divorce. His pain became his passport, the key that unlocked a life of meaning and purpose he never saw coming. If he had stayed stuck, what if he kept telling himself, "This is the end"? That pain would have become a prison. It would have kept him locked in regret, blame, and hopelessness. This is not a fairy tale. This is real life. And real life gives you this choice over and over again. Your pain wants to teach you something. It wants to show you what matters. It wants to reveal your strength. But most people are too busy trying to avoid it, numb it, or escape it instead of learning from it. That heartbreak you went through, it didn't break you. It revealed what kind of love you deserve. That failure in your business, it wasn't the end. It was feedback, guiding you towards something smarter, better, stronger. That health scare, it was your wake-up call to stop taking your life for granted. But only if you choose to see it that way. There are people who go through trauma and turn into warriors. There are people who experience injustice and become leaders. There are people who lose everything and rise with fire in their eyes, not because they're lucky, not because they're different, but because they said, "I won't let this pain own me, I will own it." You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control what it means. That's where the shift happens. Think about a time in your life when you experienced deep pain. Maybe you lost someone, maybe you were rejected, maybe you were abandoned or told you weren't enough. At that time, probably felt like the end of the world, but look at you, you're still here, you survived it. The fact that you're breathing right now means you already made it through the hardest days of your life. What if that pain gave you more than it took? What if it gave you empathy because now you understand others who are hurting? What if it gave you resilience because now you know how strong you really are? What if it gave you clarity because now you know what really matters to you? Pain has a strange way of stripping away the surface noise of life and bringing you face to face with your truth, and that truth will either set you free or scare you into retreat. Again, it's your choice. I want you to imagine your pain like a fire. You can let it burn you down, or you can use it to forge something stronger, something unbreakable. You can let it burn away your excuses, your fears, your doubts, and leave behind a version of you that's more real, more raw, more alive. You don't grow in comfort. You grow in discomfort. You grow in the dark nights, in the tears, in the moments when everything hurts, and you choose to keep going anyway. That's when your soul expands. So the next time pain shows up, and it will, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "What is this trying to teach me? How can I grow through this?" You'll be shocked how quickly your perspective shifts when you stop resisting and start listening. Pain isn't your enemy, it's your mirror. It's your coach. It's your calling card for greatness if you let it be. Let this be the moment you decide no more victim mindset, no more hiding, no more staying stuck. I will turn my pain into purpose. I will use it to become better, not bitter. I will rise, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. Remember, pain can be your prison, your passport you choose every single time. The words you speak, especially the words you speak to yourself, are not just sounds. They are commands. They are programming. They are blueprints. Every time you open your mouth, you're either building yourself up or tearing yourself down. You're either moving toward your vision or pulling yourself further away from it. That's why this truth is non-negotiable. Language is power. Most people think their life is being shaped by circumstances, but in reality, their life is being shaped by the words they're using to describe those circumstances. Maybe language you use becomes the lens through which you see your world, and eventually that language becomes your world. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. Two people fail at starting a business. The first says, "I guess I'm just not cut out for this." The second says, "Okay, this didn't work." Now pause. Same situation, same result, completely different outcome. Why? because of the words. That first person just gave their brain a command to shut down, to stop trying, to accept defeat as identity. The second person gave their brain a challenge, an invitation to adapt and grow. And guess what? The brain listens. Your subconscious mind is always listening to the language you use. It doesn't argue with you, it obeys you. So if you constantly say things like, I'm so stressed, I can't handle this, nothing ever works out for me, your brain will say, okay, let's keep living that script. But when you change your language, you change your internal code. You don't just describe reality, you create it. Coaching a young man who had been rejected from multiple job interviews, he kept saying, I'm such a loser. No one wants me. I stopped him immediately. I said, is that really true, or is that just what you've been repeating to yourself? He paused. He'd never questioned it before. I told him, from now on, I want you to stop saying, I'm a loser, and start saying, I'm still learning, and the right opportunity is on its way. It sounded cheesy to him at first, but within a month, not only did his energy shift, his confidence did too. He started walking into interviews differently. He stopped apologizing for who he was, and not long after, he landed the job he once thought he wasn't good enough for. Words matter. Even the tiniest tweaks in language can transform how you experience your entire life. For example, don't say I'm stuck, say I'm in transition. Don't say I failed, say I'm refining. Don't say this is impossible. Say I haven't figured it out yet. That one little word, yet, can change your entire relationship with growth. I can't do this becomes I can't do this yet. That creates space for belief. It leaves the door open for progress. Now let's take it even deeper. It's not just the words you say out loud, it's the silent sentences you repeat in your mind every single day. That internal dialogue, the voice in your head, it's either your best coach or your worst critic. Think about your morning routine. You look in the mirror. What do you say? Do you say, I look tired, terrible today? Or do you say, this is a body that has survived, a mind that is growing, a spirit that is ready to rise? Because whether you know it or not, those micro messages add up. They become your self-image. They become the foundation of how you carry yourself in every room you walk into. And eventually, the world reflects back the story you've been telling yourself. You might say, but Tony, I'm just being honest with myself. I do feel like a failure. I do feel tired. Isn't that just being real? Here's the difference. Being honest with how you feel doesn't mean being negative about who you are. You can acknowledge a challenge without labeling yourself a loser. You can feel fear without calling yourself weak. You can be in a valley and still speak from a mountaintop mindset. And when you speak with intention, when you declare, affirm, and reframe, you start becoming the author of your life instead of a victim of your language. It doesn't take a massive shift to start. You don't need to write poetry. You just need to be conscious, intentional, aware of how your words are shaping your day. Catch yourself in those casual moments when you say, I always screw this up. Pause and ask, would I say this to my best friend? Would I speak this way to someone I love? If the answer is no, then why are you saying it to you? Your words create patterns. Patterns create habits, and habits create your reality. Speak defeat long enough, you'll stop even trying. But speak hope, speak progress, speak possibility, and your whole energy begins to shift. You start attracting better ideas, better relationships, better outcomes, not by magic, but by the momentum of empowered language. There's a reason some of the most powerful people on the planet use affirmations, declarations, mantras. They're not just saying nice things, they're programming their future. They're taking charge of the voice inside, so it serves them instead of sabotaging them. You can do the same today, right now. Start small, speak life over your dreams, speak love over your reflection, speak strength into your challenges. You don't have to lie to yourself, you just have to stop speaking limits into your soul. Because language is power. Use it wisely, use it boldly, and use it to build the life you were born to live. Take a moment to look at your life. Look at your habits, your beliefs, your income, your energy, your attitude. Now ask yourself this, who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Because I promise you, who you're around is who you become. That's not just philosophy. That's a law of human behavior. Whether you know it or not, you are being shaped, molded, stretched, or limited by the people closest to you. Why? Because proximity is power. Let me put it this way, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your circle. If your circle is small-minded, negative, playing life safe, making excuses, settling, gossiping, you're absorbing that. You might resist at first, but over time, their influence becomes your operating system. You begin thinking smaller, doubting yourself more, and living within the limits they've accepted for themselves. You don't even notice it happening. It's subtle, but it's there. Now flip that. Imagine spending your time with people who challenge you to level up, people who don't let you stay comfortable, people who talk about ideas, vision, not just complaints and problems. People who clap when you win and coach you when you fall. People who are already living the kind of life you aspire to. Guess what happens? You expand, your thinking elevates, your standards rise, because success is contagious, but so is mediocrity. Let me give you a real life example. There was a young man named Arjun I worked with, brilliant, driven, hungry, but stuck. Every time he tried to move forward with his business ideas, his friends would say things like, "Don't waste your time," or "That's too risky. Just be grateful for what you have." And he listened because they were his people. He trusted them. But deep down, he was shrinking, playing small. One day after hearing this point, proximity is power, he made a bold move. He started attending entrepreneur meetups. He joined an online mastermind group. He began spending more time with people who had already built what he was dreaming about. Within 6 months, his mindset had completely shifted. Within a year, his business was profitable. Within 2 years, he was mentoring others. The only thing that changed, his environment, his circle, the people he gave his energy to. That's the power of proximity, because here's what no one tells you. You don't just grow by effort, you grow by exposure. When you expose yourself to new conversations, new standards, new energy, you elevate almost by accident. You start seeing what's possible. You start realizing that maybe your dreams aren't crazy. They're just waiting for you to stop hanging around people who stopped dreaming years ago. This applies to every area of life. You want to be fit. Hang out with people who take care of their health. You want to be wealthy. Learn from people who talk about investments, not just paychecks. You want to be confident. Surround yourself with people who lift each other up instead of tearing each other down. You want to have deeper relationships. Get around people who communicate, who love without conditions, who hold space instead of judgment. Your environment is either feeding your fire or suffocating it. Even in daily life, this principle shows up. Think about how you feel after spending time with someone who drains your energy, someone who always complains, always finds a problem, always plays the victim. You walk away feeling heavy, right? Frustrated, tired. Now think about how you feel after talking with someone who inspires you, someone who listens deeply, dreams boldly, inner story, speaks truth with love. You feel lit up. Motivate, that's not coincidence, that's energetic transfer. And it happens whether you're aware of it or not. So the question becomes, who has access to your energy? Who gets to speak into your dreams? Who are you letting shape your standards? Because if you're serious about changing your life, you have to get serious about changing your circle. That doesn't mean you cut everyone off cold, but it does mean you start being intentional about proximity. Who you put yourself around when you want to grow. Who you listen to when you're uncertain. Who you call when you're on the edge of giving up. Your future is too important to leave it in the hands of people who don't believe in growth. Your goals are too big to be surrounded by people who are comfortable with being stuck. You don't need a crowd, you just need alignment. Even one person who believes in you, who pushes you, who holds you to a higher standard. That can be the difference between staying in a rut and rising to greatness. Because proximity doesn't just shape your decisions, it shapes your identity. If you're around people who expect more from themselves, you'll expect more from yourself. If you're around people who challenge their limits, you'll challenge yours. If you're around people who refuse to settle, you'll stop settling too. You've got to audit your environment the same way you audit your goals, because no dream can grow in toxic soil. So make the choice to be around energy that pulls you forward, not drags you down. Build a circle that reflects where you're going, not just where you've been. Remember, proximity is power. Guard it, choose it, and let it shape you into the highest version of yourself. Let's get one thing straight. Your focus is your steering wheel. Wherever you consistently place your attention, your life will follow. Your emotions, your energy, your outcomes, they all trace back to one core element, focus. And here's the truth, most people don't realize what you focus on expands. Focus is not just a mental exercise. It's a life-shaping force. It's the gateway to either growth or stagnation, clarity or chaos, power or paralysis. Have you ever bought a new car or even thought about buying one, and suddenly you see that car everywhere? You didn't manifest it out of thin air. It was always there. But now your brain is tuned in to notice it. That's the power of focus. Your brain has a system called the reticular activating system, RAS, and its job is to filter the billions of bits of information around you and show you what you've decided is important. In other words, what you focus on becomes your reality. So, if you constantly focus on problems, what do you think you're going to see more of? Problems. If you focus on pain, guess what? You'll feel more of it. But if you focus on possibilities, you start seeing opportunities that were invisible to you before. If you focus on gratitude, your heart opens, your stress shrinks, your energy rises. Let me give you an example from real life. A man named Dev came to one of my seminars. He was sharp, successful, but stuck. On paper, he had it all: business, money, a beautiful family. Emotionally, he was drowning. I just can't shake this feeling. He said, it always feels like something's missing. So I asked him one question. What do you focus on every day? Without thinking, he said, what's wrong? What needs fixing? What's not good enough? Boom. That was the key. I said, if all you do is focus on what's wrong, you'll never feel what's right. Your life isn't broken. Your focus is. We created a 10-minute morning routine for him. Every day, before anything else, he had to focus on 3 things: what he was grateful for, what he was proud of, and what he was excited about that day. Just 3 things. No phone, no emails. Pressure. In less than 2 weeks, his energy changed. His relationship with his wife improved. His team noticed a difference in his leadership, and nothing in his life had changed. His focus had, and that changed everything. You see, most people live in what I call a default focus mode. They're not choosing their focus, they're reacting to the news, to social media, to other people's opinions. Guess what happens? Their focus becomes scattered, anxious, negative. Their energy is drained. Their creativity dies. They feel like life is happening to them instead of for them. High performers, visionaries, happy people, they're laser focused. They choose what to focus on. They direct their mind like a weapon. Let's take a simple example. 2 people lose their job. One focuses on fear. I'm not good enough. What if I can't find another one? What if I lose everything? The other focuses on opportunity. Maybe this is the push I needed to go after what I really want. Maybe this is the moment I reinvent myself. Same situation, different focus, totally different experience. Your focus is the seed and your life is the garden. Plant fear and you grow anxiety. Plant doubt and you grow hesitation. But plant faith and you grow courage. Plant vision and you grow direction. It's not magic, it's focus. Even in your body, focus shifts your energy instantly. Try this. Sit still and think about a time someone hurt you. Really feel it. Notice what happens to your posture, your breath, your emotions. Now stop. Now think about a moment you felt unstoppable, when you crushed it, when you felt alive, proud. Feel that shift. That's what happens when you change your focus. Your entire emotional state transforms. Your body follows your mind, and your mind follows your focus. That's why athletes visualize victory, why performers rehearse peak states, why entrepreneurs focus on solutions, not just setbacks. Because where focus goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, results grow. So how do you use this in daily life? Start by asking better questions, because your focus follows your questions. Don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Don't ask, what's missing? Ask, what's working right now? Don't ask, what if I fail? Ask, what if this changes everything? Create rituals that train your focus. Morning gratitude, vision boards, journaling, meditation, whatever it takes to interrupt the chaos and bring you back to what matters most. Because in a world full of noise, distractions, negativity, and overwhelm, focus is your superpower. It's your anchor, your weapon, your advantage. And here's the beautiful thing. You get to choose it every single day, every single moment. You can focus on fear, or you can focus on faith. You can focus on limits, or you can focus on leverage. You can focus on the problem, or you can focus on the possibility. It's not about denying reality. It's about choosing which part of it you give your power to. So ask yourself right now, what am I focusing on? Is it building me or breaking me? Expanding me or shrinking me? Because what you focus on, you feed, and what you feed grows. So if you want a new life, a new mindset, a new future, start with your focus. Direct it with purpose, with intensity, because focus goes where energy flows, and that's where your power lies. There's a force more powerful than goals, more powerful than motivation, more powerful than fear, willpower, or even your environment. It's the invisible script running the show of your entire life. It's the thermostat that regulates your behavior, your confidence, your decisions, and your future. That force is identity. Because here's the truth, who you believe you are is who you become. Your identity isn't just a description, it's a declaration. It's not just what you think about yourself, it's what you've accepted as true. And whatever you consistently believe to be true about yourself, you will live up to, no matter how many opportunities are in front of you. Let me show you how this works in daily life. Imagine 2 people trying to quit smoking. The first one says, the second one says, I'm not a smoker, same action, different identity. Guess which one is more likely to succeed? The first still sees themselves as a smoker, someone battling against a habit they still identify with. The second has shifted their identity. They're not fighting the behavior, they've become someone new, and because our behavior always aligns with who we believe we are, that second person will follow through with greater consistency and power. This is why so many people struggle to create lasting change. They try to change their behavior without changing the beliefs that drive the behavior. You can't outperform your identity. If deep down you believe you're lazy, you'll sabotage every burst of productivity. If you believe you're not lovable, you'll push away the very relationships you want to build. If you believe you're not meant for success, you'll always find a way to fall short, even if the world is cheering for you. But the beautiful thing is this identity is not fixed. It's not carved in stone. It's shaped. It's molded. It's rewritten by you. Let me tell you about someone I coached years ago. Her name was Anjali. Brilliant, kind, full of passion. But she could never break through in her business. Every time she got momentum, something would happen. She'd miss a deadline. She'd undercharge. She'd overgive. When I asked her what was really going on, she said, "Tony, I don't think I deserve success. I didn't grow up in a place where people like me win." There it was. Her identity. She had taken her past and turned it into a label, and as long as she wore that label, not deserving, not meant for more, nothing outside could change her inside, so we got to work. Not just on her skills, but on her story. We redefined who she was, not based on where she came from, but on who she chose to be. She started declaring it daily. I am worthy. I am a leader. I am here to serve. I am built for success. Every day she said it, even when she didn't feel it. And slowly, something powerful happened. She started showing up differently, charging what she was worth, speaking up, leading her team with certainty. Within a year, she had tripled her income. And more importantly, she finally believed in the person she was becoming. She didn't just act confident, she became confident. That's the power of identity. Because your identity is the root. Your actions are the fruit. If you want different fruit, stop trimming the branches, change the root. You see, identity is not just what you think, it's what you prove to yourself through repetition. Every time you follow through, every time you honor your word, every time you step into the version of you that you're proud of, you're carving a new identity, and the more evidence you build, the more that identity becomes real. So stop waiting to feel like a winner before you act like one. Start acting like one, and you'll become one. You want to be healthy? Start saying, I am the kind of person who moves daily and honors my body. Then prove it to yourself. One walk, one workout, one clean meal at a time. You want to be a great leader. Start saying, I am someone who communicates clearly, serves others, and leads with purpose. Then back it up with action, even small ones. You want to be more confident. Say it, feel it, practice it. Speak with power, walk tall, and give yourself permission to grow into that identity. Your past doesn't define you. Your current reality doesn't define you. Your identity, the one you choose, defines your trajectory. So here's a simple but powerful shift. Stop asking, what do I want? And start asking, who do I need to become? Because when you align your identity with your goals, the actions take care of themselves. You stop forcing change, you live it. Think about this, every breakthrough you've ever had, every moment of courage, clarity, or strength, it didn't come from doing more. It came from remembering who you are, or discovering a new version of yourself. And once you saw that version, you could never go back. You are not your mistakes. You are not your fears. You are not your past. You are the author of your story, and the most powerful chapter begins when you decide who you really are. So ask yourself right now, what identity have I been living in that no longer serves me, and what identity will I choose to step into today? Because when you shift your identity, you shift your destiny, and everything else begins to align. Who you believe you are is who you become. So believe boldly, act boldly, and become the person you were born to be.